All right, welcome to Talking Investing. I'm Tom, and as always, this is not financial advice. Today, I want to talk to you guys about BlockFi. So a lot is going on. There's a lot of speculation. So I want to go through what we know and what are rumors and try to get to the bottom of this situation because obviously it has a big impact on the crypto universe and therefore, as a result, on Bitcoin and potentially the Bitcoin miners. I'm going to spend some time and go through the facts. So if you're new to the channel, we cover Bitcoin and the Bitcoin miners and cryptocurrency all the time on this channel. So if that's content you're interested in, please remember to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Also, if everybody would please smash the like button, that helps out the channel a lot. I really appreciate it. Okay, let's get to BlockFi. I'm going to start out with an article that summarizes what we know and what we think we know about this situation. But I want to preface this by saying that there's 3 companies involved in this, and they're all privately traded companies. So a lot is not known about this. So a lot of what you may have heard so far is actually probably speculation. And there's some big questions that we don't know the answer to. So I want to try to go through that and tell you what we know and what we don't know and what it all means. Morgan Creek said to try to counter FTX's BlockFi bailout. Let me get into the details and it will explain the 3 companies involved. Obviously, the primary company is BlockFi. That is the company in question. FTX is a large player in the crypto universe, and Morgan Creek is a previous investor and also a well-known player in the crypto universe. So here's what's going on. Morgan Creek is attempting to raise funds to purchase a majority stake in BlockFi, the report says, citing a leaked investor call from last week. The American asset manager is one of BlockFi's largest investors, participating through BlockFi's D-Series fundraise. So BlockFi is a private company. They have not gone public. They've done a series of fundraising. We're going to take a look at, I'm just going to take a time out and take a look at their most recent round of funding, because I think it's important to put in perspective what size company that we are talking about here. Okay, so this was March 31st, 2021. So this is about 1 year ago. BlockFi gets a $3 billion valuation with a new $350 million Series D funding. A year ago, BlockFi raised $350 million with a $3 billion valuation for their company. Obviously, they've grown a lot even since then. However, it would appear their current valuation is down somewhere in the neighborhood of 90 to 95% once we get through what we're looking at. Now, some of that is still definitely speculation, and that's what I want to go through. Okay, so just to put it in perspective, and again, this is from the article a year ago, BlockFi's platform currently manages more than $15 billion in assets. So I can't find what that current number is, but that's the latest and greatest number, and obviously they've grown since then. Okay, so let's go back to our original article. The move comes after FTX offered to extend a $250 million revolving credit facility to BlockFi. On the call, Morgan Creek managing partner Mark Yusko said BlockFi has not received any equity financing options at this time. So the $250 million is a line of credit, but you're going to see later there's speculation that it's a lot more than that. So he goes on to say, among other credit offers, FTX was the only one that offered to not subordinate client assets to the investor. So that's extremely important. Fundamentally, essentially what they're saying is FTX's offer is a $250 million offer, a line of credit. They're going to subordinate themselves to customers' funds. So essentially what they're saying is with $15 billion or more under management, they have a lot of customer money, and FTX is willing to put their $250 million behind that money so that customers get paid back first. So here it says, otherwise depositors would have to wait for a new lender to be repaid, he added. Potentially how this plays out, depositors could be at risk of not getting their money back at all. And again, this is all still speculation because the thing is, these are all privately traded companies. So while we know they have about $15 billion under management, we don't know what their balance sheet looks like. We don't know what their liquidity is. We do know this, it must be not very good because they're talking about $250 million being the difference between staying in business and not staying in business and having clients' deposits at risk versus not at risk. But in return for that, FTX got the option to buy BlockFi, quote, at essentially zero price, with only investors in the most senior tranche of the company's latest raise getting compensated, Yusko said. This line of credit also apparently has some other terms, and again, they have not come to terms. This is not a deal deal yet. But what this is saying is that there would be an option effectively for FTX to get the whole company as a result of this $250 million, and every previous investor in the company will not receive any of their money back other than they're saying the most senior investors in the latest tranche. So effectively what that would mean is they can buy the company for $250 million, and we know that a year ago this company had a valuation of $3 billion. They are a lot bigger now than they were a year ago, yet their valuation, if this were true, their valuation has decreased drastically. So don't know what's going on there. All these things seem to point to a fairly huge problem going on at BlockFi. Now, they have changed a few little rules, but they have not restricted withdrawals, and there's no major changes to their platform at this point. So I'm not sure if people are taking their money out. I'm not sure what the level of panic is around this. There's been an awful lot of buzz going on around this issue, but we're still a little bit in the early stages because everything that we've heard so far to a certain extent is speculation. The only thing we know is no deal is yet signed, and BlockFi is looking for potentially Morgan Creek to come in and do a different deal, an equity deal instead of a debt deal for a percent of the company versus a debt deal that looks like it would turn into an equity deal that gives FTX the entire company. Okay, the next one says the only alternative is to raise an equivalent amount in equity, and that's what we're working on, Yusko told investors on the call. I would say it's a 10% possibility, but not zero. So that's not very good. So it looks to me like they're signaling on this call that they've pretty much exhausted all of their options. Probably this Morgan Creek situation may be their last best option to get a different offer than the FTX offer. Now here's the thing, we don't know if the FTX offer is a good offer or a bad offer. It might be actually a very generous offer because they're putting $250 million in and they're putting it behind all the client money that's in there. So if in fact BlockFi is insolvent right now, then that actually may not be a very bad deal, and it may be a better deal than they're able to get by somebody else coming in, putting in $250 million, still leaving them potentially short or insolvent at the end of the day. And again, I'm not saying that's the case. I'm saying we don't know because we don't have a look at their books. This is a private company. So if $250 million is not enough to get the job done, and with a company with $15 billion under management, $250 million seems like a very small margin of error to me. So it may be that this FTX deal is actually a very good deal for clients or customers of BlockFi. Obviously, it would be a very bad deal for their current investors. That means their investment will have been wiped out. Now, again, these are all private investors. This is not a publicly traded company. Okay, then it says on Friday, the Wall Street Journal reported that FTX was in talks to acquire an equity stake in BlockFi. So they were talking about an equity stake, but it sounds like this deal is more structured like a loan that ultimately turns into them getting all the equity or the majority of the equity. Yusko, and if I'm pronouncing that wrong, my apologies, said Morgan Creek was open to pursue a joint deal. Not that I have SBF on speed dial, but I could probably get that call that he reportedly said. So SBF is Sam Bankman-Fried. That is a name everybody should get to know. This is a major player in the cryptocurrency world. So I may do a separate video strictly on that because his influence in the cryptocurrency universe is gigantic. And this is not the first company that he has stepped in to try to help bail out. Now he's been on record as somebody who's very altruistic and who is looking to help the entire cryptocurrency universe, even if it means on a deal by deal basis he loses a little money. His feeling is that being one of the largest players in the space, his overall investments will be more sound if he's there as a backstop to some of these potentially failed situations. This is very much like what Goldman Sachs did in the 2008 financial crisis, and Warren Buffett stepped up and did a few things as well to create some confidence inside of the financial markets in 2008. Now, obviously, that was on a much larger scale than this is, but Sam Bankman-Fried seems to be taking a similar role here right now at the moment. So, and again, we don't know. This deal for BlockFi could either be very good for everybody, or he could be getting the whole company at a steal, or it could be both. So I think the key thing to remember is we don't really know. There is no deal yet. We don't know what the actual terms of the final deal will be, and as well as the fact that Morgan Creek is now interested in coming in as a previous investor and potentially putting $250 million in to protect their existing investment. So the question is, they're going to know the books better than anybody. They're going to know, is that throwing good money after bad, or does $250 million get them from here to where they need to go? So they then say a potential lead investor has agreed to offer $100 million in funds, with two other investors expressing interest to put up $50 million towards a Morgan Creek bid. So it sounds like They've got some of the money potentially raised. They're not at 250 million yet. And I will tell you, for a company like BlockFi, which just raised money a year ago with a valuation of $3 billion, $250 million is not a lot of money. Obviously, to me, that's a lot of money, and probably to you, that's a lot of money. But inside of the deal that they're making here for the size company that this is, it seems like a very small amount of money. And I'm just not sure it's enough money to solidify their liquidity. So one of the things that may be happening is FTX, if they walk in and they are in charge, there's a lot more money behind their $250 million. So just that fact alone could stave off, a potential run on BlockFi. And as cryptocurrency gets healthier, their problem may solve itself. So again, this is all speculation. I just wanted to bring everybody up to speed on what's going on right now. Currently, there is no deal. FTX looks like they're trying to negotiate a deal. There's the potential that that deal would have them end up owning BlockFi, and Morgan Creek, who's currently one of the large investors, is trying to put a counter deal together. So that's really all we know right now. BlockFi is an extremely well-known platform among the cryptocurrency world, so this is another very large player that seems to be having some massive risk. So I believe what FTX is trying to do is make sure this molehill does not turn into a mountain. So they're trying to cut this off at the beginning so that this does not spiral out of control. Okay, so that's all I have on the BlockFi situation for now. I will try and stay up to date on this, and if some concrete information is actually presented, then I will do another video and update what's going on. But for now, that's the current status of this situation. So hopefully this was helpful to bring people up to speed. Let me know in the comments below if you guys know any latest and greatest information beyond what I've talked about. And if you made it this far, again, please remember to subscribe to the channel and smash the like button. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.